Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Write Ambitions podcast, where I discuss word usage, grammar, writing, and editing. Today, I would like to talk to you about a specific tool that is used in editing and in writing, and it is a must for editing, and that is a style sheet. Yes, style sheets are critical to the writing and the editing process. So let's jump in and talk about style sheets, what they are, how they're used, what to include in them. You may have actually used a version of a style sheet in your day job, whatever your day job might be. So brands actually have brand or style guides that they use, and those will include specific information on their logos, the colors of their logos, the fonts, font size, placement of the logo on documents or in ads. It'll also include certain verbiage like mottos, taglines, specific messaging that the brand or the company wants to use. So that is a brand or a style guide. And style sheets in editing and writing are very similar. So style sheets are used by editors as a guide for treatment of specific items in a manuscript. When editors are performing edits, they usually consult a manual like the Chicago Manual of Style or the Associated Press Style Book, the APA Style Book, and a dictionary. So it can actually become really tedious if you're looking up information and you keep having to look up the same information because although you know that you've looked it up before, it was like 50 pages ago and you don't remember what you did. So that's where a style sheet can come in handy. Those items, instead of looking them up every time, can be added to your style sheet, and then you can have it nice and handy for reference instead of flipping through a giant manual. When I'm editing, I actually like to have the style sheet open next to my document that I'm editing. So when I come across specific terms, I can go ahead and add them right away, and then they're there. So what do you include in this style sheet? I like to begin my style sheet with the basic information. So my go-tos are the Chicago Manual of Style, because that is most of what I edit deals with. So I work with the Chicago Manual of Style as well as the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Those are my two go-tos. So those are the first things I will list on my style sheet. This tells me and anyone else who's going to review the document that that's the baseline. That's where we're starting for this. So if that person is familiar with Chicago style, then they'll know that there are certain standards that will be in effect for the document that we're editing. So, for example, Chicago Manual of Style has a certain way of dealing with numbers. So their general rule is to spell out numbers from 0 through 100, as well as some round numbers like 2,000. So that would be spelled out instead of using the numerals. Okay, that's cool. And for the time of day, Chicago style is to spell it out when the time of day is even, half, or quarter hours, like 10:30, where both the words 10 and 30 would be spelled out. But let's say this manuscript wants to treat all time as numerals. Then that would be an item that would be included on your style sheet. So an editor would know then, oh, this is a time, and although it's 5 o'clock, we're going to use the number 5 instead of writing out 5. So style sheets can also include specific terms. The style sheet entry will include the term, the proper spelling of the term, whether the term should be capitalized or lowercase, whether the term should be hyphenated or not, and any other nuances about that term. So a lot of style sheets will include terms in alphabetical order, so they can be easy to find on the sheet. For example, if the document includes references to Six Sigma, this term will be included on the style sheet as both words capitalized and not hyphenated. So the same goes for proper names. Inclusion of the names of specific people referenced in the document, or any of your book's characters, for example, should be included on a style sheet. This helps ensure that the names are spelled correctly each time and there's no confusion. So maybe you have a character named Stephen. Is that Stephen with a V or is it Stephen with a PH? A style sheet will clarify the spelling and make sure that it's consistent throughout the manuscript. So other items you can find on a style sheet include acronyms or abbreviations, diacritics, or the accent marks on certain letters, and particular phrases that may be used. Also included will be information about punctuation, like does this document use the serial comma or the Oxford comma, whether it should follow downstyle or upstyle capitalization. So downstyle favors the minimal use of capitalization when referring to specific nouns and adjectives like president or director, whereas upstyle is the opposite. So other items to include are treatments of headings, titles, footnotes, how are they formatted, what do we capitalize, what don't we capitalize, things like that. So a style sheet is really a goldmine. There's a ton of information to be gleaned from it, and it's definitely a time saver when editing. Style sheets aren't just for editors, though. If you're writing a document or that novel you've always wanted to write, creating your own style sheet will come in handy. Maybe you've introduced Stephen with a V way back in Chapter 2, but now you're in Chapter 15 and can't remember if it's Stephen with a V or Stephen with a PH. Hopefully you added it to your style sheet when you mapped out your characters. So you can either glance at your style sheet to see how it's spelled with a V or a PH, or you can wait until you're done with your draft, look at your style sheet, and then do a find and replace and find all the Stevens with a PH and replace it with Stephen with a V, and then you're done. And this will correct all the references of the proper spelling of the name, and it will save your editor time down the road. Just saying. So, let's recap. Style sheets are critical to the writing and editing process. They should include any reference materials used, like the Chicago Manual of Style or AP Style, and should also include spelling of proper names, treatment of numbers, titles, acronyms, specific terms and jargon, and any other information that may be relevant to ensuring consistency throughout your document or your manuscript. You can use this information to create your own style sheet, or you can download a style sheet template for free on my website, writeambitions.com. So if you have a style sheet in place, you can write more confidently, knowing that you'll be consistent, and your editor will thank you. So that's all for now. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.